Hello there! So welcome to my little tutorial here, where I'm gonna show you how I created a rubber/plastic sound that I made in my latest Instagram reel. But this video is gonna be a bit more slow-paced rather than the fast-paced type of videos I put out on my Instagram. So this one will be easier to follow along and are good if you're interested in a more in-depth sound design. Yeah, so this is probably what the finished sound will sound like. And one thing I want to point out is that I do this in Ableton Live 10 Suite. So it's Live 10. I just got actually Ableton Live 12 Suite, but I haven't had the time to learn all the new little features and the layouts of all the different effects. So I decided to make this tutorial in Ableton 10, but I will start doing Ableton 12 stuff very soon. So, but I guess probably everything I show here in Ableton 10 will be able to be made in Ableton 12. But yeah, the first thing I'm gonna do is to open up an operator. And I really like operator because I feel like it sounds really clean and you can get a lot of nice timbres out of it. But actually for this video, I'm gonna be using a very simple patch of operator. But first, I'm gonna create a MIDI clip. I'm gonna press Shift Command M and take my pencil and put it on C3 and then legato. So here we have it. Now I'm gonna change the operator from sine wave to square. So now it sounds like this. Not really super nice, but we're gonna fix that. So the next thing I'm gonna do is to add a vocoder. Vocoder. And in Ableton, the vocoder effect can be utilized for different type of situations. Not only like the normal vocoder harmonizing, background singing type thing, but really unique sound design. And I have a video on my Instagram where I have a white noise and add a vocoder, and it sounds like water. So I wanted to use like the same kind of mindset when I created this rubber/plastic sound. But the difference is that I'm going to use a square wave as a source rather than the noise. So I'm going to go on up to the vocoder here and first activate enhance, and then I'm going to set it to pitch tracking. And now the vocoder is going to track the pitch coming from the operator, which we're going to utilize later. But right now it doesn't really sound that interesting. It sounds kind of the same as it did without the vocoder, but now it has some type of like filter bands here. Then I'm going to add a glue compressor, so the sound will be more balanced as we shape it, and it will be easier to hear. And then I'm going to add an LFO. And the LFO is something I'm going to use to randomize the values of the effects I'm going to add. So to randomize, set it to random and turn up the rate so it goes kind of fast. And then I'm also going to smooth it out a bit, so it will be more like random curves rather than random steps, as you see. So at 0 it becomes like random steps. Maybe put it to like 60, so it be like smoothed out. Now we're gonna go ahead and add the effects we're gonna use. So the first effect is a frequency shifter. I'm gonna put it here, and then we're gonna add an auto filter. I'm gonna put it here, and we're also gonna use a phaser. I'm gonna put it here. So the first thing I want to do is to map the LFO to the phaser. And for that we're going to go into the multi-mapping section, and we're going to map these two slots to frequency and feedback. And I'm going to play the sound now and move around the phaser manually, and you can hear how it will sound. So it becomes almost like, I don't know, like space type laser vibe. I don't know how to describe it. But we want to map it so the LFO automatically moves around these knobs. So the knobs we're going to map is to frequency and feedback. and we will listen to it. That's nice, but I don't want the values to go up this high, as you see. So we can play around with the values here, and this is the floor and this is the roof. If we lower the roof, you can see that it doesn't move at all. Let's say we go to the frequency here, as you can see, it's this one, and we put up the roof a bit. You can see that it starts moving up. And I feel like somewhere around like the middle, 62%, is good. So it will reach like maximum here, not here. And I think we're going to do the same of feedback, because we don't want to maximize the feedback. Because if we maximize it to 100% and then make it the smallest value also 100%, it's going to always be up here. And I want to control that so it doesn't move really high up on the feedback scale. So maybe around 74%. And now we have automatically made these values following along with the curve. We also want to do the same for the auto filter. And we're actually going to put it onto a notch filter. And I feel like notch filters create nice movements in the sound. And you can hear it if I move it around manually here. It's not really a huge difference, but I think it's gonna make a bit of a difference. So I'm gonna map it, take this slot and map it onto the frequency. I'm gonna keep it on 0 to 100% so it moves around the whole frequency spectrum here. And I'm also gonna use it, the LFO, to map it onto a frequency shifter. So I'm gonna press it here. But I don't want it to go really much past 0, because if it starts moving up the scale, I can unmap it and play it so you can hear it. And here, I don't want to have that high-pitched sound, so I'm gonna map it and then lower the roof to around 50%. We can type in 50, so it will never move over 0, which makes it that will only affect like going in the lower end of the frequency scale. So now it sounds like this. Not really that nice. But the last step we're gonna do is to map the LFO to the pitch of the vocoder and the transpose of the operator here. And we're also gonna press activate on the pitch. So here. And we're going to lower the roof on the oscillator pitch of the vocoder and the transpose of the operator, so it's not really pitching up, but rather moving on the lower end of the scale. So maybe around 50, 60 somewhere. And now we're going to hear how it sounds. Yeah, so it's not really there yet. One thing I want to do is to add an OTT at the end here. And I will also play around with chorus. In my video I put it at 24. As you can hear, we have some kind of like rubbery type sound. We can try playing around with the values here, and also the values of these ones. We can put it to 8 poles maybe. Also play around here with the roof and floor. Yeah, so now I played around with the sound a bit. So I increased the sound here level and I put it on 24. And yeah, it goes a bit faster here. I also lowered the smooth to 18%, so it's not really like very steep. It just barely becomes like a curve here. And as you can see, I kept the frequency shifter so it doesn't move over the 0. It always stays on negative values. And one thing I forgot to mention is you can put it on. You can put this one. The default is on the saw wave, but I want to put it here. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a square thing. And here you can also play around with the resonance of the notch filter. I decided to put it around 38%. And also changed the phaser from Earth to space. And now it sounds like this. So yeah, it's a bit more sounding like rubber now. And the thing I want to do now, and what I often do, is that I resample it for a longer period of time. So let me check this. And when I have done that, you can move it over here and drag it out. So this is a full resampled audio. And I'm gonna listen through it and cut out the parts that I like. So maybe the first part I didn't like. It's a bit too noisy, so I'm gonna remove it and keep on listening. I really like this middle part. So I'm gonna mark it, press Command E and cut it out. And keep on listening on the rest. Ooh, this was nice. I'm gonna cut it out, delete, and move it back here. So these are the parts I like so far. I'm gonna keep on listening. Maybe this part is nice. So I'm gonna delete what I didn't want. And keep on listening here to the last part. And that wasn't really nice. So I'm gonna delete that. And move this last part that I wanted to keep. So these are the golden nuggets from the sound, I feel like. So I'm gonna do some crossfades between them here. And then I'm gonna listen to them. So let me listen. Yeah, really nice. So I don't really know how you would use these types of sounds in the music, and probably that's up to you. But yeah, you can maybe use it like glitches in between like chord stabs or like interesting textures for a surreal intro. Yeah, be creative. Like producers like Flume, for example, often uses like different types of random textures, and so yeah, play around with the sounds and have a really nice day.